My Lupus Living Room is a place to listen to the stories of ordinary, everyday people who are not afraid to share the struggles and successes of living with a chronic illness called lupus. These brave Lupians put it all out there to bring us all in. We celebrate people living with lupus. My name is Suzanne. I am a mom, a wife, a business owner, and the CEO of the Lupus Foundation of America's Great Ohio chapter, and a whole lot more. But most of all, I have lupus. My purpose and my passion are to help other people with lupus. For me, lupus was a lonely, miserable, misunderstood disease, and I'm here to tell you that today it doesn't have to be. I want to talk more about the things we do not normally talk about. Since lupus impacts mostly women, my Lupus Living Room will have a focus on what it's like to be a woman living with this mysterious, unpredictable disease that has no cause or cure. I know that many would love to connect with others that have lupus. These women are fearless and have extraordinary stories of survival. I'm excited to welcome my not-so-famous guests, and with their inspiring stories that offer hope and inspiration to fellow Lupians. I believe this project will not only create awareness about lupus, but offer encouragement to those listening. Remember, there is no I in the word lupus, but there is the word us. The Lupus Foundation of America, Great Ohio chapter is here for you. For your chance to share your story and visit with me, you can reach out to me at Suzanne at Lupus Great Ohio or call 1-888-NO-LUPUS. So for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my Lupus Living Room. I'm Suzanne Tierney, the CEO of the Lupus Foundation of America, also a lupus patient, and we're going to have a great talk this morning with a lovely young lady from Columbus, Ohio, and let's all welcome Hannah Powell. Hi, Anna. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Suzanne? Thanks for having me.
I'm just living the dream here. Your name, my grandmother was Hannah. That's a very historical, superb name. Okay.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear all about you. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear your commercial on who you are and what you do and your journey with lupus. And I think there's so much value in learning these stories from our constituents. So, Hannah, you have the platform. Tell us all about yourself.
All right. Well, I am an Ohio native. I've been here in the Columbus area for a few years now. I work in the patent law field. So I get to work with clients, learning about a lot of their technology that they do and talking to really smart people that do really cool things. I love that. I think it's a pretty cool job, especially as a lupus patient. I used to work as an engineer myself, and that became a little physically challenging for me. And so now that I can't necessarily be doing that myself, I still get to be involved in that community and in that space and talking to people that are doing cool things. And that's been very meaningful for me.
You know, I have to say, and you've heard this, and I've heard this, and our fellow Lupians have heard this. You're so young and beautiful. You don't look sick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. It definitely is. It's an interesting experience being young with chronic illness and with physical limitations. I do hear that a lot of, oh, well, you're too young to be saying that. You're too young to have that going on. And I always laugh and I say, yeah, you're telling me, that's
Wow.
not how I saw things going.
Well, your
But
skin is just radiant. Your red hair is beautiful. And many of us have skin issues or rashes or hair
mm,
loss or sun sensitivity. Have you had any of those?
yes, I my rashes were actually part of how I got diagnosed finally. Much like others with lupus, it took quite some time for them to figure out what was going on. And it was finally when I was speaking with the doctor, and she asked about my butterfly rash, and she said, "Does that happen to you a lot?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, I get a whole lot of these really weird skin rashes," and that was the clue that came in on that. So, um,
So how's your hair? Because it looks great. Well,
thank you.
let's take a step back. Okay, how long have you been diagnosed?
Actually, 2 years this month.
So you're a newbie. You're a newbie.
Yes.
And what were the symptoms that brought you to the doctor?
So I was struggling a lot with joint pain. I was getting a lot of injuries, um, a lot of joint issues, struggling to figure out how to stay active without injuring myself. I was getting weaker and less able to be physically active. And I was just getting feedback from doctors and physical therapists that I needed to be doing more. And then I would get injured more and get more tired. Um, I was previously diagnosed with celiac disease. And so when I was first going to the doctor and saying, I'm having a lot of pain, I had torn some ligaments, was getting some bone breaks. They said, well, you must be eating gluten. This must be a gluten exposure. And I said, no, I'm very careful. We're so strict. I don't know where it could be coming from. And then they said, okay, well, you must have, this rare form of celiac where you still get damage, even if you're not eating gluten. And I was doing research into that myself. And I said, I don't think this is that. This doesn't look like that. And it never occurred to me that the rashes might be part of the problem. I have sensitive skin, being, paler with the red hair. It's not uncommon to be flushed or have more of a red tone. And it was just by chance when I finally got a referral to a rheumatologist, and she spotted the rash on my face right away. And I told her that I get, rashes when I exercise or from showers, when I'm stressed. And that's when she decided to run the antibody
So
panel.
you've been diagnosed for 2 years. How long did it take you to get there?
Um, from the time that I started pushing, technically less than a year, I suppose, but I have been having issues, health issues since I was in college, and it's always been some partial diagnosis or explanation that didn't seem to answer everything. It was, well, first I got diagnosed with migraines, and then they said that I had celiac, and then it was always something else, some small piece that was explaining it, and they'd say, okay, here's your answer. And that was never it. And I always felt like there has to be some bigger picture here. There's not this many coincidences. People don't happen to have chronic fatigue and get sick all the time, and bad joints and digestive issues and this. And there has to be something else here. So with all of that included, probably about a decade-ish, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so the symptoms of lupus for the most part don't all present themselves at one time. Okay. And that's the challenge that your fellow Lupians have in getting a diagnosis, is that everything doesn't happen all at one time. And there's so many different things, different criteria that they use to diagnose lupus. It's not just a positive test of one kind. It's the physical review, it's the symptoms, it's the blood work, and quite frankly, it's being in the presence of someone who can identify lupus. So a rheumatologist, wouldn't have been great if we started there first. We wouldn't have gone through all this. So the big diagnosis came. So I'm assuming you have systemic lupus, and I don't want to assume that. There are different types of lupus, but I'm assuming that you don't have kidney involvement or that it is SLE.
Yep, correct, SLE.
Correct. Okay. Well, you know that as fair as you are, the sun is not your friend. So even though
No.
we're having 90-degree heat right now, I would highly recommend that you do not sit in the sun for long periods of time. And I don't know if our audience knows this or remembers this, but the sun is our enemy. I'm not saying stay in the house, but I am saying be cautious when the sun is at its peak. And remember SPF, the highest that you can find if you're going to be in the sun. And just to pay attention, try to be in the shade as much as you can. It just takes a dormant lupus and it just makes us go crazy.
Mhm.
So I don't want you walking around with a coat in 90-degree weather, but I do want you to be conscious of your surroundings. So you get this big word, systemic lupus erythematosus, as a diagnosis. What was your response to that?
It was a combination of overwhelming and scary, and also a little bit of a relief in some ways. It's really scary hearing that, and when you first start looking into lupus, it's so much negativity and really scary stuff, right? I mean, you don't get a lot of uplifting news, and it's hard to find some of those more positive stories, and it's hard to sort through what's real and what's um, somebody's personal experience that maybe they're generalizing and trying to figure out what resources are credible and what aren't. But at the same time, when you've been sick for so long and you can't figure out why, you start to feel like you're going a little crazy, and it is a hard feeling of like powerlessness, of not knowing. When you don't know what it is, you can't stop it, you can't fix it, and it felt like my life was getting smaller and smaller, and I didn't even know where to start to do anything about it. And so getting a diagnosis that made sense, even though seeing everything online was scary, it's also seeing a lot that I related to, of yes, that does happen to me, that happens to me too. Okay, this makes sense, this could be it, they could actually help me now.
That was so well said. I couldn't have scripted that myself. Okay. That is pretty common of how most of us felt. I know myself, I was relieved. It was like, but then they also told me that, get my affairs in order. This could go the wrong way. So the scare was there. And the reason I do what I do today is back then there was a little orange book, and that's all there was. Okay. And it was all gloom and doom. Pretty much, you got 5 years on to get your stuff in order. Quit my job, became a hermit and waited and prayed a lot. But look, I was 27. I'm like 72 now. So there is hope on the horizon. And the good news is today, even though you're going to have peaks and valleys, you will. Majority of the people with lupus, if they get the right care package, treatment plan, doctors, you can go on to create a new normal for you, and be a productive part of society and have a good quality of life. You will you'll make some pivots. I know I hate the word can't. When someone tells me I can't do something, I just become short circuit and enraged. And I have to take a step back and say, can't I really? Or can I try at least? And, if I fail, it's okay, because at least I tried. And then I started focusing on the I can'ts. So, you mentioned that you started off as being an engineer and that became a challenge, and you did a pivot yourself. You went to another type of work. So kudos to you. And I just want you to know your story, your statement was huge just now. And I'm very empathetic to it. And I think a lot of our listeners are as well. And so we're going to move forward now, because there's a new you. There's a new you. All right. And we're going to take can't, we're going to throw it out the door, and you're going to look at the cans. So you're into patent law. Do you work full time, part time? Are you able to do things differently now? How's your life now that you're on a different path?
It's definitely very different. I am very lucky that I'm still working full time. I work for a law firm that is very supportive. I work for really, really great people that are very informed on my health, and they've gone out of their way to educate themselves, and they check in with me when I'm sick. They even check in with my husband to see how I'm doing, and because of how supportive they are, I've been able to work completely, not just remote, but also on a very flexible schedule.
Oh,
I As long as I get the work done, I can do it when I need, when I have the energy to do it. So I think that that is a really, really good setup for somebody with lupus. If I'm having a day
absolutely.
where I don't feel good, then I just don't work that day. Or if I start to work in the morning and then I don't, if I'm feeling worn out, I can take a nap and maybe try again later in the evening. And that makes
Yeah.
it so much easier.
Sure, that's a blessing. Great job. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen for the
Yes.
majority of us. Okay. So great job. And you said you're married.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to say this again. You look awfully young. So you're on a journey and you have a partner. So how does that relationship, how's that going? Because sometimes having a partner is, we're going to put this poor guy in a spot now, okay? Is he compassionate? Is he afraid? Where is he at in this journey with you?
He has been so, so important and so helpful. My life is definitely a lot more limited than it used to be, but it could have been so much worse if I didn't have my husband. As I mean, he is my caretaker. I hate saying that. I hate how that
Yeah.
sounds, that I
Yeah.
need a caretaker, but he is just, he's so helpful, and he's really gone out of his way to learn about what I need and what helps. And so he, silly things like he tends to drive. It's hard for me to drive a lot of times, and so he doesn't mind being the one who drives when we go places. And it's limited his social life too, because my social life is limited, and he's very understanding and empathetic towards that. He'll help me with things that are physically challenging for me. And just like with my job, I know that I got really lucky in that regards too,
Hmm.
because I mean, if it wasn't him, realistically, it probably would be my parents stepping in and doing a lot for me.
Well, someday I'd like to talk to him because you did say it right. Our spouses become our caregivers. And I would caution you on some things. That's another conversation for another time. Um, Being here as long as I have, I've seen so many of us, and I'm guilty, where I just would take everything and complain to him or give it to him. And after a while, it's like, oh my God, I threw this all on him. Who's helping him? So we need to have, I need to have a conversation with our constituents on how we can better manage our caretakers so that we don't cause damage to them or invade their lives that is so overpowering for them. Because it is a tremendous challenge. They love us. They don't want to see us sick. For the most part, they're willing to help in any way and rise in any way, but at what cost? So we have to be careful on how much we give them because they're afraid for us. All right, they're afraid for us. So we need to take care, but do better job at taking care of them. But I'd love to talk to him sometime as well.
Yeah,
We're only
yeah,
going to learn from each other on how to get through this. And the good news is there's so much research going on. There's so many new drugs in the last couple years. All this has happened. All this surge and attention on lupus has just happened during COVID. All right. Before that, it was like we were stuck in the mud, going nowhere. But if you pay attention to our website or our messaging, you can see all the trials that are going on, the research that's going on, the dollars that we've advocated for, not only locally here in the state of Ohio, but across the country. People are starting to pay attention to us. And because lupus was an orphan disease for so many years and so little was being done. We still have problems with lupus. We're not one of those big organizations that have big dollars or big opportunities, because people still don't know lupus. They've heard of it, but they still don't know it. And until we can get the public to know it, they hear this word and they're like, well, what is it? I mean, people know what cancer is, they know what diabetes is, they know it, but they don't know, what is this word lupus? Because it could be many things. You could have kidney problems, you can have heart problems, you can have vascular problems, you can have, I mean, it just, the list goes on. It's not a cookie cutter disease. So I am impressed because I heard you're leading the walk in Columbus in team members and in dollars. Is this your first walk, or have you participated? This is your first walk. Wow, kudos to you. You know, I love when people, when advocates like yourselves can rally. All right. So tell me about why you're doing this and about your team. Who are they?
Absolutely. The walk has been, I mean, it hasn't even happened yet, and already it's been such a positive influence on my life, and it has really just been very, very cool for myself and my support system to have something actionable to put all of these difficult emotions into, and it has meant a lot for me as a goal for my health. This last year, I had a lupus complication called transverse myelitis that I had inflammation in my spinal cord. That I was put in the hospital, and thankfully they caught it fairly early. It could have been a lot worse. Some people end up with paralysis or even worse than that, and I did not, but I did have a lot of damage to my mobility, to things like my fine motor control. It limited me even more than I was before, as far as chronic pain and weakness. And then that becomes a really difficult, vicious cycle that you're in, where it's even harder to do things. So you move less, so you are in worse health, so you move less. And it's really crucial for recovery when people have transverse myelitis. You have to be very aggressive about rehab.
Mm.
And I work with a team of multiple physical therapists and an occupational therapist, and it's not fun. It's hard. It's hard to stay motivated. It can be really frustrating when you're not seeing progress, and it feels like, well, why am I even doing this? Why am I working so hard so that I can do stairs? That's
Mm.
that's not fair, and it's frustrating, and I'm not even getting anywhere. And when I heard about the lupus walk, that was a thing of, oh, that's a goal that I can work towards, and I can be motivated to do, to continue working really hard with my therapists and with rehab, to be able to show up and actually walk that day. And
Wow. I'm in awe. So do you think you're going to be able to walk? So this relatively is a shorter walk than what we usually do. Okay. Um, I just want you to know, yeah, you're coming to the walk. Yeah, you're supporting the walk. But if you feel you can't do the whole walk, that's okay. There's benches along the way there, and you can be an angel in the crowd, because you are. But for those constituents that feel that they can't do the walk, the whole walk, I do a short little butterfly stroll in front of the Kozai over there. Um, and I always say to people, walk with me while I can. Okay. I had done a stunt in a nursing home and couldn't walk for a while. Actually, in my very younger life, I couldn't walk. I can remember my parents carrying me in the car and taking me to the hospital, and it was awful. But I got through it. But I remember the spinal taps. I can still remember those spinal taps, and I can remember the pain when your spine has problems. It's horrific. That's a different level of pain. So, you talked about, and I know I'm getting personal here, but we talked about physical therapy. We talked about a couple other therapies you had. Did you think about psychotherapy? Did you venture that way? And here's why I'm asking. I think I've gone through this journey and I've talked to, I don't even know, it has to be thousands of fellow Lupians. And I know that when our life changes, we lean on our spouses and our family, but I think sometimes, like you said, the doctor thinks we're crazy or we're hypochondriacs. Um, I think mental health is just as important as anything else, whether it be diet, whether it be our medication. I think it needs to be part of the protocol on how to treat lupus, but yet doctors are reluctant to push that out to patients because they get pushback on it. What are your thoughts on it? Whether you have done it or not, or considering it, because we offer it. We do have a program that can offer mental health assistance, even if it's just for a short period of time.
That is really fantastic that's available as a resource, and I would recommend to anyone with lupus or that is a loved one of somebody with lupus, no matter what stage they're at. Because yes, I have, and particularly in the last few months, it was late last year, so it's been quite a while now, but it has been really emotionally difficult. Going through that experience was very scary, and coping with that level of physical pain was, I mean, next level for me. And the worries about what does this mean for my future. And to be completely honest with you, it was a little bit of a breaking point for me when I already felt like I had to change my job. I had to change my lifestyle. I had to change my social life. And I was already making all of these changes. And then this big, horrible thing happened where then I have people who are helping me to do stairs or to open water bottles. And I I was just terrified of how much more is going to be taken away from me. What happens if I can't walk? What happens if I can't do this? Why does this keep getting worse? And working with a therapist through those emotions and to find some coping mechanisms and get better about um, living now and worrying more about what I can still do and appreciating it
Mm-hmm.
rather than constantly living in this hypothetical headspace of, is this the last time I'm going to do this?
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to change your name to Hannah Power. Okay. Instead of Hannah Powell, in case the audience doesn't know that. Your team, where'd you get your team from? Are they actually coming to the walk, or are they supporting you? Who are these people? And let's say, yay, thank you. Right now, you are dynamite.
Yes, my team is just fantastic, and they've been so supportive. Almost all of them are coming to the walk. There are a couple people who have symbolically registered from a distance and they're fundraising elsewhere. But that's my friends and family. Those are the people who have been going through this with me, and I know that it's been really meaningful for them as well, partially because of their own frustrations of wanting to help and not knowing how, or knowing that they're limited in how much that they can help. This has been cathartic. I've heard from family members that having some sort of outlet to channel and having a really good way to raise awareness and feel like they're doing something both to help me and for their own um, emotional well-being and for the lupus community in general. And so it's been really, really good for a lot of the people in my life. And it's just meant so much to me to see. I already knew that I was very lucky to have um, my parents helped me with a lot. My husband helped me with a lot. But as soon as I said, hey, I'm going to do I'm going to try to do this walk, and here's everything that I've been going through, and here's what other people with lupus go through, seeing how many people in my life have donated or joined the team or shared to their own networks. It's just been really overwhelming, and everyone with lupus knows that no matter how much support you have, it's lonely. It's really lonely, and that has made it less.
Yeah. That's one of my sayings around here, is I'm sure Alex is sick of hearing me say it now, is there is no I in the word lupus. There is a word of us. And lupus doesn't have to be a lonely, miserable, misunderstood disease. It was for me in my timeline, but today it doesn't have to be that way. Here at the Lupus Foundation, we have patient navigators who call. We have, 50,000 people in our database for the state of Ohio. If we have your phone number and you're a patient, we're going to call you 2 or 3 times a year. We're going to check up on you. Answer the phone. We're not calling you for money. We're calling you to see if you're okay, especially during COVID. We're calling to see if you have a barrier to care that maybe we can help you with. We're calling to offer you support, love, hugs. I needed a hug so bad this morning. I couldn't find anybody. I still need that hug. Every life comes at you. And regular, even though you're living with this disease, real life still keeps coming at you. I have so many friends who are sick. Oh no. Thank you. I was driving in this morning and I thought, it was like, I have 3 appointments first in the morning. I don't feel good. My ankles are swelling. I'm having some kidney issues. And I'm thinking, but I'm going to go. I'm not going to say I can't. I'm going to do what I can. So I live by do what I can. Okay. And sometimes I pay the price for it because I don't know when to stop. But I needed a hug. And I'm going to tell everybody, you should hug each other more often. We can do, I'm going to give you a virtual hug right now, Hannah. Do you feel it?
Yes,
I think I want you to go on Facebook today, and I want you, Alex, give everybody a virtual hug. Okay. Because I don't think we hug each other enough. Okay. I think that we're so busy with this social media crap, and nobody's coming out to in-person programming anymore. I think we're getting disconnected. I needed a hug. There's value to hugs. All right. So after we get off here, we're going to go online and we're going to do a hug online, and we'll see what kind of response we get. But Hannah, let me ask you something. How did you find the Lupus Foundation? How did you venture off to the walk? How did you find the information about the walk?
Just generally looking for resources and information for myself. And I came across some resources from the Lupus Foundation. And then I heard about the walk, and that led me to finding out that we do that here. Mm-hmm. And I really love what you said about hating to hear the word can't. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw that there was a way for me to connect what lupus means to me now and what it has done to my family with walking, something I was told that I can't do now. It's like, mm-hmm. I'm going to do that.
I'm going to try. I'm going to do what I can. Do what I can.
Yes.
No can'ts, Alex. Alex tells me can't all the time, and then him and I have to do this waltz.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, you're telling the wrong girl this, okay? Mm-hmm. But we do offer education, emotional support, barriers to care, creating awareness. We just came through Lupus Awareness Month. Minorities are so impacted worse by this disease. We came through April. I just did a report and looked back to see report of what we did in April and May, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm killing this little staff. I'm absolutely killing this little staff. We do so much with the little resources we have. So I promise you, for every dollar you raise for us, I'm going to turn it into more money. Okay. And here in the state of Ohio, Hannah, you're so lucky to live in Ohio. I'm so proud of Ohio in many ways when it comes to lupus. We're the first state that ever did a lupus statewide needs assessment. And with that, we took that and we went to the state capitol and knocked on all of our legislators' doors. We took a bus of purple people up to the state capitol and shocking at what they did not know about lupus. And then we went back again and again and again, and we were able to get a line item in the state budget for lupus. We're the only state that actually has that. And I think last month we had one of our legislators declare, put a bill in to declare May Lupus Awareness Month on a state level indefinitely, hopefully. And we'll be returning to the Hill in the spring, okay, because we're going to advocate for that line item again. And if you're around and if you want to come and testify at the State House, you're there. We'd love to have you. I tell everybody the patient stories, but if the patients are there in person, it adds more power. Okay. Hannah, I can't thank you enough. I don't know what your entire journey is going to look like, but I can only share with you that you're going to have peaks and valleys, and you're going to celebrate all the good times. You're going to celebrate those around you. And for those of you that support Hannah, we are so grateful. I don't know if you know how valuable it is in so many aspects of it. And Hannah Powell, we're going to be looking to seeing you soon at the Columbus Walk, which is going to be scheduled on August the 17th. It's coming up over at Kozai. We have a lot of contests going on this month. And I look forward to meeting your entire team and you in person. And I hope that we can walk the walk together. I do. And you guys are in charge of weather down there. I can't do everything. Okay, so for now, Hannah, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. We're so grateful for you sharing your story with us. And we wish you the best in your journey. Remember, we're here. There's the word us and lupus. We got this. All right. And to everybody, our audience, thank you for watching us. And as always, here in my Lupus living room, we welcome your story as well. You all have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Remember, there is no I in lupus, but there is an us. Until next time, this has been my Lupus living room with the Lupus Foundation of America's Great Ohio Chapter. For more information and resources to help you in your lupus journey, please visit lupusgreatohio.org or call 1-888-NO-LUPUS. The funding for my Lupus living room is an earmark from the state of Ohio and managed by the Ohio Department of Health. Your physician is the best person to help you in the treatment of lupus. The information you learn here today can be discussed with your doctor, as your physician knows your medical history best. Please do not make any medical changes without consulting your physician first. As with any treatment, stay educated and get information from trusted sources.